For 10 consecutive years, she was the best-selling author and also my wife. After her latest book, Starry Sky, became a massive hit, she announced her retirement from writing. At the book signing event, she held the microphone tightly, tears welling in her eyes. "I dedicate this book to the memory of my lost youth." Her deep affection moved the entire internet, and countless fans were left in tears. But I was sitting in a high-end restaurant I had reserved 6 months in advance, tearing up the film adaptation contract she had always dreamed of and replacing it with a divorce agreement. Later, I left with quiet elegance, flying across the ocean while she searched for me in a frenzy. When Chloe returned home, I had just sold all my company shares. Kicking off her high heels, she frowned and complained, "Why are the lights off?" "I don't like it," I responded coldly. Chloe furrowed her brows but didn't say much. It wasn't until she stepped into the kitchen and saw that dinner hadn't been prepared, unlike usual, that she pointed at the cold stove and snapped, "William, what's wrong with you? Today is our 7th wedding anniversary, and you couldn't even make dinner?" "Why should I make dinner?" I asked calmly. Perhaps my strange tone triggered her. With a sharp slap, she flung her bag at my face. "William, are you giving me attitude? It's just a little late. I told you today was my new book signing event, my last fan meeting before I retire. Are you seriously asking me to ditch all those fans just to have dinner with you? Does that sound right to you?" No, it didn't, but apparently it sounded fine to her to publicly declare her love for Orion on this day. I sat silently on the sofa, feeling like a fool. Then I said it, "Chloe, let's get a divorce," and I went upstairs. The sound of water echoed from the bathroom as I wiped my face. Just an hour earlier, I had been waiting in the restaurant I reserved 6 months ago, expecting Chloe to show up. For our anniversary, she had promised me a surprise. I also carried with me the contract for the film adaptation of her book, something she had always dreamed of. I imagined countless times how joyful she would be when I handed it to her. Just before the signing event, Chloe had texted, "Hubby, I'm a bit busy today. Wait for me, kisses." My heart had swelled with sweetness. I replied that there was no rush and casually opened the live stream of her event. Chloe stood in a white dress, her eyes glistening with tears. Holding the microphone, her voice trembled. "Thank you all for your support. Starry Sky is based on real events and recounts the innocent love between me and my first love, Orion. This book holds all my youthful, naive memories. I've decided to retire from writing after this." I froze. Thunderous applause flooded the stream. Fans rushed forward, asking Chloe about Orion. I held my breath. She continued, her voice heavy with emotion. "My love left me when I was 18. I've missed him all these years." My heart shattered. I didn't even remember how I made it back home. If Orion was her true love, then what was I to her? What had our 7 years of marriage meant? After my shower, I started packing my things. I didn't even notice when Chloe entered the bedroom. She saw what I was doing and, for the first time, panic flashed across her usually composed face. She rushed over and grabbed my hand. "Hubby, I know today's incident made you angry." I paused. For a second, my movements stopped. Chloe tugged my arm and pouted like she always did when trying to soften me. "I was late for our anniversary, my fault, okay? I even saved a signed copy of Starry Sky for you. Aren't you happy?" She held out the book. But seeing the cover, Starry Sky, all I felt was mockery. On our anniversary, she was reliving her past love, and now she wanted to include me in that. Nostalgia. I pushed the book away and said coldly, "You can keep the book. Use it to remember Orion." "I don't need it." Her face turned pale. She tried to speak again, but I had already picked up my luggage and walked toward the door. Seeing my firm steps, Chloe lost her temper. "William, are you done? Orion has been dead for so many years. Do you really have to keep fighting with me over a dead person?" No, I didn't. But I knew that in Chloe's heart, Orion was more than a dead memory. His habits, his hobbies, his voice, his expressions, they were always present in our life. 7 years together, and I thought I had warmed Chloe's heart. But in the deepest corner of her soul, it was always Orion she longed for. In this 3-person marriage, I was always the extra. "So fine." I stepped out. Chloe, furious with my silence, hurled our wedding photo from the upstairs landing. It crashed near my feet. "Fine. You go. If you leave, don't come back. Tomorrow we're going to the civil affairs office to get divorced." Dragging my suitcase, I walked alone down the desolate street. I couldn't stop thinking about the past, about Chloe, Orion, and me. I had always known Chloe had a deceased first love. Orion had been her everything. They studied together, painted side by side, and shared dreams. On her 18th birthday, Orion missed her coming-of-age ceremony because of an art competition. They had a huge fight. Chloe threatened a breakup if he didn't return in time. Trying to make it back in a rush, Orion crossed the train tracks and was hit by a speeding train. There was nothing left. Chloe was devastated. She even tried to take her own life by lying on the tracks. Her parents brought her to the hospital, where I was interning in psychiatry. I spent days and nights with her, helping her heal. Eventually, she opened her heart to me. When she handed me her short story and confessed her love, I hesitated. But I said yes. She dreamed of working in film. So I gave up medicine and invested in a film company to support her. I had believed our relationship was strong, unshakable, until today. My phone rang. It was my godmother. William, did you really sell the film company? That was your life's work. I told you to sell it and move abroad with us before you refused. Why suddenly? If I want to sell it, I'll sell it, I interrupted. Godmother, I want to move abroad. A pause, then joy on the other end. You've finally figured it out. That's wonderful. When will you come? I'm going back to China next month. How about tomorrow? I'll book the flight. That night, I stayed at a nearby hotel. Chloe didn't call. Instead, she posted on Twitter. She was at Orion's old school, taking a picture with his former teacher. Her caption read, "The best teacher in the world." Behind them was a landscape painting, Orion's last piece. I recognized it instantly, even after our argument, even after publicly professing love for Orion on our anniversary. She went to visit his mentor. She had never truly seen me. I sneered, tossed my phone aside, and fell asleep. The ringing of my phone woke me up. Chloe's best friend was on the line. William, Chloe's drunk. Can you come pick her up? No, I'm not going. Panic entered her voice. What kind of man are you? Do you know Chloe sold the rights to Starry Sky at a low price just to help your company? I was stunned. She said all those things in front of the media just to make a quick sale. She worked so hard for you, and you're treating her like this. I'm heartbroken for her. I stood there, frozen. Chloe had sold the rights to Starry Sky cheaply for me. Then I remembered the film adaptation contract I had destroyed. The contract I had prepared for Chloe that day now felt utterly ridiculous. You can think whatever you want, I muttered. Anyway, Chloe and I are done. I hung up the phone, but after sitting with it for a bit, I felt maybe I should at least talk things through with her, get some clarity. So I took a taxi to the bar her friend had mentioned. Sure enough, Chloe was there slumped in a booth, completely drunk. The moment she saw me, her eyes turned red. She stumbled toward me and threw herself into my arms. "Hubby, you're finally here," she whispered, nuzzling against me like a kitten. Her soft, affectionate gestures, her needy tone, it made it hard to push her away. And for a brief moment, I wondered, maybe this really was just a big misunderstanding. Then suddenly, Chloe wrapped her arms around my neck and her tears started soaking into my shirt. "Orion, you're finally here. I thought you were angry and wouldn't come back. I got all your paintings from the teacher, and I've raised the money for your exhibition. You won't have to worry about no one seeing your work anymore. I'm going to hang your paintings all over the city. I want the whole world to know that Orion is the greatest artist." My body froze. I reached out to touch her, but my hand fell limply because I wasn't Orion. I couldn't paint. Orion was the one who loved painting. Still, I helped Chloe back home. Just like always, I helped her take off her coat and shoes. Then I gently wiped her face with a towel, but when I reached to unfasten her bra, Chloe, still semi-conscious, suddenly snapped awake. She looked at me panicked and on guard. "What are you doing?" she asked sharply. "I'm telling you I'm Orion's girlfriend. I won't be with you. If you come any closer, I'll call the police." My hand froze in the air, and in the very next moment, Chloe collapsed onto the bed and slipped into a deep sleep. That's when it hit me, everything she had just said was a drunken confession. But what no one else knew was that even after 7 years of marriage to Chloe, I had never touched her, not even once, because she always said she wasn't ready. Now I understood. It wasn't that she wasn't ready. It was that her heart had always belonged to someone else. I looked at her as she slept, mumbling Orion's name in her sleep, and I knew it was time to leave. I pulled out the divorce papers I had printed long ago and placed them on the bedside table, right where she'd see them. Then, I closed the door softly behind me and walked away, but as I waited at the airport, a headline popped up on social media. Famous author holds art exhibition for deceased lover, 8 years of devoted love unchanged. That headline hit me like a slap across the face. Still, I didn't feel a thing. I pulled out my SIM card and tossed it into the trash. Before I did, I noticed Chloe had called. By the time the first light of dawn kissed the earth, I had already landed abroad. Andy and her family were there at the airport to greet me, all smiles and warm hugs. William, welcome back. Her daughter Grace grinned mischievously. William, didn't you say you were going to be a big director? What happened? Haven't even seen your debut film, and you're already back? She looked behind me. Where's your wife? I felt awkward. Andy nudged Grace and wrapped me in another hug. William, welcome home. Over the next few days, Andy made sure Grace stayed with me, treating me to food, drinks, fun, always making sure I was okay. Sometimes Grace would ask why I came back, but I never answered. Then, during our weekend dinner, Andy got a phone call. She looked at me and asked, "It's Chloe. Do you want to take the call?" I shook my head, but Chloe's voice suddenly came through the speaker. William, I know you're listening. I have something really important to tell you. Can you please pick up? Reluctantly, I took the call. Chloe, eyes red from crying, asked, William, why did you leave without a word? Her question left me silent. Then I said, we're getting a divorce. Chloe immediately shook her head like a child. No, I don't agree. We can't divorce. I didn't say anything. Chloe grew frantic. William, did you hear something? Those are lies. Just fake stories made by reporters. Please, just let me explain. There was nothing to explain. Some truths once revealed can't be taken back. No matter how much I wanted to pretend otherwise, I couldn't. I replied calmly, the divorce papers are on the bedside table. Sign them and let me know. And I ended the call. I handed the phone back to Andy. All around me, news about Chloe and Orion was blowing up online. How ironic. There she was telling me to listen to her while the world was already celebrating her love for someone else, but I didn't feel pain. I figured I'd become numb to her lies. Eventually, Grace figured out what had happened between me and Chloe. One night after dinner, she asked if I wanted to work at her company. I told her I wasn't interested. The film company I had started, it was all for Chloe. Now that she was gone, I didn't care about anything anymore, but Grace's eyes sparkled. Next month, there's the World Model Competition. Our company secured a spot. You sure you don't want to come? My heart stirred. I had always loved models. I could lose hours sketching, sculpting, adjusting. Back in college, I had won several awards. Years ago, Andy had invited me abroad to pursue it professionally. She believed I could make a real impact. But I gave it all up for Chloe, and she betrayed me. Now, I had a second chance, and I wasn't going to let it go. I accepted Grace's offer right away, even after years of not practicing. Once I started again, the muscle memory kicked in. I got back into the groove with just a little training. Some people doubted me, but Grace stood firm. William has been doing this for years, she said. I believe in him. Finally, the day of the competition came. In the waiting room, I took deep breaths, nerves fluttering in my stomach. Grace handed me my favorite drink. Good luck, William. You've got this. With her support, I stepped onto the stage, the battleground I hadn't touched in 10 years, and I won. The crowd erupted in applause. Everyone cheered. Even Grace's eyes were wet with tears. Then I saw her, Chloe. She rushed toward me, arms open wide, hoping to hug me. I dodged. The move clearly hurt her, but she quickly put on a smile and congratulated me. William, congratulations on winning the championship. Thanks, I replied coldly. I turned to leave, but she stopped me. Softly, she asked, William, when are you coming back with me? Coming back? I had never even considered that, but seeing the hopeful look in her eyes made me want to laugh. I'm not coming back, I said flatly. I already told you I want a divorce. Chloe panicked. William, I know you're angry, but haven't you been mad long enough? Even if you're upset with me, surely you've gotten it out of your system, right? Come on, let's just go back. Let's go back to how things used to be. Just like before, a temper tantrum. That's all she thought this was. My heartbreak. My silence, my departure. Just a temper tantrum. I laughed bitterly and pulled my hand away from hers. Word by word, I said, loud and clear, I'm not throwing a tantrum. I'm serious. Since you can't let go of Orion, I'll step aside. From now on, I said. You can freely memorialize him without anyone getting in your way, but Chloe didn't let go of my hand. Under the bright lights, someone in the crowd recognized her. Cameras flashed like wildfire, and microphones were shoved in her face. Chloe, are you the author of Starry Sky? Didn't you say you were going to stop writing in memory of your late lover? Who is this man? Do you have a new lover? What does Orion mean to you? One question after another struck like thunder, and Chloe couldn't answer a single one. Her face flushed red with embarrassment, and watching her stand there speechless made the whole situation feel painfully ironic. I let out a cold laugh and walked off the stage alone, but the reporters weren't ready to let things go. When they couldn't get any answers from Chloe, they turned on me. Microphones were pushed into my face, voices firing rapid questions sharp and cutting. Mr. William, are you the third party in Chloe and Orion's relationship? Why are you ruining their love? Fighting for the affection of a dead man, don't you feel any guilt? I glanced at Chloe, standing quietly beside me. Her lips were pressed tightly together. Not a single word came out. No explanation. Nothing. She just let their vicious words rain down on me. Finally, it was Grace who couldn't take it anymore. She pushed through the crowd, came to my side, and blocked the wave of hateful questions. What are you all even talking about? William and Chloe are legally married. They've been married for 7 years. As for that Orion, I've never even heard of him. And if there was a third party, then it would be him. Grace's words turned the spotlight directly on Chloe. All eyes turned to her now, and under their heavy gaze, Chloe could no longer deny the truth. She finally admitted to our relationship, and then seizing the moment, she looked at me with teary eyes and asked, William, I did all of this to fulfill Orion's last wish. Now that it's been done, will you come back with me? No, I said firmly. Sign the divorce papers. I don't want to take this to court. I turned and walked away, leaving her behind. Chloe called out my name, desperately trying to stop me, but her voice was swallowed by the loud chatter and gossip of the reporters. Soon, Chloe and I were all over the trending headlines. I don't know who decided to air our dirty laundry, but everything came out. The years we'd spent together. The time Chloe had tried to take her own life. How I stayed by her side, helping her through it all. Looking at the endless online chatter, I felt momentarily lost. I had done so much for her, but none of it mattered anymore. Once you choose to let go, the effort, the sacrifices fade into nothing. Meanwhile, Chloe was being hounded by the media. She ran around, overwhelmed and exhausted. Still, despite everything, she refused to divorce me. She even went public, claiming it was all a misunderstanding and that we were not separating. I found it laughable. I didn't want to waste another second. I filed for divorce immediately, but what I didn't expect was that she'd show up at my place to celebrate my win. Grace threw a few parties. After several days of drinking, I was groggy, dizzy, and barely functional. The next morning, I just wanted to step out for a cup of soy milk, but as I reached the gate, I saw Chloe standing there waiting. She held a massive bouquet of flowers. The cold winter wind had turned her nose red. She puffed warm air onto her hands and kept adjusting the flowers in her arms. The moment she saw me, her face lit up and she ran over. William, I've finally waited for you. What are you waiting for me for? I asked flatly. I know I was wrong. The art exhibition is over. William, can we go home? Her voice was so cautious, so gentle, an unfamiliar tone I had never heard from her before. In the past, every time we argued about Orion, I had always been the one to apologize. I used to wish Orion would disappear, so I could finally have a place in Chloe's heart, but now that the day had come, I realized I didn't need that place anymore. Ignoring her words, I asked directly, when will you sign the divorce papers? Her face paled. Panic replaced the smile. William, must we always talk about these hurtful things when we meet? Hurtful? I didn't think so. Compared to the things Chloe had said to me for Orion's sake, this wasn't even close. Besides, wasn't this what she had always wanted? A legitimate, open identity as Orion's lover. I didn't want to drag it out any longer. I laid it all bare. You don't have to sign, but I've already filed for divorce. The court hearing is next week. Make sure you show up. Her face went completely ashen. She grabbed my sleeve, her hands trembling. William, can we really never go back? I brought you something, your favorite jasmine flowers. She handed me the bouquet, but before it could even reach me, Grace came out. She snatched the flowers and threw them straight into the trash. William has a pollen allergy. Are you trying to kill him? Chloe tried to speak, but before she could say anything, my face started swelling up. I couldn't breathe. Grace didn't wait. She rushed me to the hospital. The allergic reaction hit me hard. I lost consciousness. The doctor said I needed an emergency blood transfusion, but my blood type was rare, and the hospital didn't have a match. Even if they called the nearest blood bank, it would take too long. Everyone was panicking. Then, out of nowhere, Chloe stepped forward. The same Chloe who had always been terrified of pain. She quietly rolled up her sleeve and volunteered to donate blood. When I finally woke up, Chloe's face was deathly pale. Still, she forced a weak smile. "You're awake, William. I'm so glad you're okay." I saw the bruise on her arm where the needle had gone in, and something stirred inside me. Chloe was the type who couldn't even handle a basic health checkup without trembling. She was that scared of pain, and yet, this same Chloe had once slit her wrists for Orion. Suddenly, I felt calm. Everything made sense now. I looked at her and said, "Thank you." A happy smile lit up her face. "William, I'm so happy to donate blood for you. I even booked a VIP ward for you." But before she could finish, I turned to Grace and asked, "How much is 1 milliliter of blood?" "Pay her 3 times the market price." Chloe froze. Her smile vanished, replaced by heartbreak. "William, I didn't donate blood for money." "I know," I said. "But Chloe, I don't want any more connections with you." "Not even a little." Her face turned completely pale. She looked like she wanted to say something more, but just then, my vitals began to drop again fast. The attending doctor rushed in, clearly frustrated. "The patient is just starting to recover. Do you want to kill him with stress?" "I'm not trying to," Chloe cried. "I just want to talk to him." But the doctor wasn't having it. He had her escorted out of the room. She wasn't allowed to visit me after that. Still, Chloe stayed outside the hospital every single day. She brought me all kinds of nutritious meals, but I never even looked at them. Grace kept her out. The reason? Simple. Most of the food Chloe brought I couldn't eat. Some of it was even on my allergy list. Even Grace was confused, sometimes wondering aloud, "William, you two really were together for 7 years. So how come it feels like Chloe doesn't know you as well as I do?" Grace looked genuinely puzzled. "You clearly can't eat seafood or nuts," yet she brought several dishes with those ingredients. Even after I told her next time, same thing. Allergic food again. Does she want to take care of you, or is she trying to kill you with kindness? I just smiled. I still believed Chloe genuinely wanted to care for me. After all, we had been together for 7 years, and during all that time, she never once stepped foot in the kitchen, and now she was cooking for me every day, creating all sorts of custom nutrition meals. But it was also painfully clear that, after 7 years, she knew nothing about me. How else could I explain the fact that Grace, who'd barely spent time with me, knew my allergies, while Chloe, who'd lived with me day and night, didn't even know the basics? I thought back to the past. Every year on Orion's death anniversary, Chloe would carefully prepare offerings. She'd even go as far as reminding the store over and over again about what could and couldn't be included. One time, the store got too busy and forgot a detail. Chloe lost it. She filed a complaint immediately. Love and indifference. They were always that clear. But none of it mattered now, because I no longer loved her. So what if Chloe remembered my allergies or treated me well now? It didn't change a thing. The court date came quickly. I hadn't been discharged from the hospital yet, so Grace went in my place. In court, Chloe argued that everything between us was just a big misunderstanding. She even presented things I'd done for her over the years as proof that we still loved each other. Grace didn't even flinch. She simply took out an interview Chloe had done before she quit writing. In it, she had essentially confessed how little our relationship meant to her. That plus the art exhibition she'd held for Orion, and the fact that she let people call me a homewrecker in her and Orion's love story without saying a word to defend me. It was more than enough. In the end, the judge ruled in favor of the divorce. The moment the decree was handed down, Chloe fainted. Out of basic humanity, Grace called an ambulance for her, then walked away without looking back. Chapter 7. After the divorce, my recovery was fast. Within the week, I was out of the hospital. Grace signed me on at her company, making me the lead talent in major competitions. She even gave me half of the company's shares. I hesitated, but Grace smiled brightly. "What's wrong? Without you, this studio wouldn't even exist. Take it. And if you're unhappy about it, that just means you don't care about me." I had no choice but to accept. I told her I'd hold on to the shares for now, and when she eventually got married, I'd give them to her as a wedding gift, but Grace wasn't happy to hear that. She mumbled, "Who wants to get married? I don't want to get married. If I do, it has to be two." Her voice trailed off into the breeze, but I understood. I understood how she felt. Even so, after everything that happened with Chloe, the betrayal, the scars, I needed time. Time to clear the rubble in my heart so that maybe one day someone better could come. In the days that followed, neither Grace nor I brought up anything romantic. I focused entirely on the competitions, and I won again and again. World class awards stacked up. I even shattered a few world records, and through it all, Grace was always right there beside me. Her pockets were like Doraemon's, always magically pulling out the exact things I needed or loved. Together, we built something extraordinary. The tiny club we started had grown into a listed corporation. Our names, mine and Grace's, were printed across promotional banners and magazines. We had become known around the world. Then, another year passed. The next World Championship arrived. I broke my own record again, taking first place. On the podium, I spotted someone familiar in the crowd. It was Chloe. For over a year, she had quietly attended nearly every competition I entered. She had even taken to analyzing my strengths and weaknesses, along with those of my competitors. She had never cared about modeling or design before. In fact, she had once mocked my passion. I still remember her words, "Only people like Orion, who used a paintbrush to express their love for the world, knew what real art was." What I did, she had scoffed, was nothing more than childish play. And yet here she was now, pen in hand again, writing detailed strategy guides, trying to help me win. But all I felt was irritation. I didn't even glance at the piles of notes she gave. I threw them straight into the trash. Eventually, I even told the staff, "If you get anything like that again, just toss it. Don't bring it to me." Suddenly, a reporter's question broke my train of thought. "Mr. William, your entry this time is called Love Nest, and it's said to be inspired by someone special. Can you tell us who your beloved is?" Chloe sat up straighter in her seat. I could see the spark of hope in her eyes. She nervously adjusted her clothes, but I didn't look her way. Instead, I took Grace's hand and answered with confidence, "Of course. Love Nest is a design I created for my beloved Miss Grace. She's been with me this entire year, through every challenge. And I want to use this moment to express something I've been holding in, right there before the world." I knelt down, pulled out the ring from my pocket, and looked up at Grace. "Grace, will you marry me?" Her eyes widened in shock. She covered her mouth, eyes glistening with tears, and nodded. The crowd erupted in cheers. We kissed as if the rest of the world disappeared, and there was only us. Somewhere in the blur, I caught a glimpse of Chloe's pale, stunned face. Something in her hand slipped and fell to the ground, but I didn't stop. I had already taken Grace's hand, walking with her to the stage to bask in the glory of being number one together. By the time the ceremony ended, Chloe was gone, but the cleaning staff found something she had left behind. An unpublished manuscript. On the title page, it read, "To the person I love most in this life." And beneath that title was my name, William. I stared at it for a long moment, then laughed. Grace came up behind me and asked, "Did you see something?" "Nothing," I said, turning away. "By the way, where do you want to have the wedding?" "So soon?" She blushed. "I haven't decided yet. Maybe the Maldives?" Her cheeks turned pink, and she looked shyly at the ground. I nodded, took her hand, and we got into the car. Outside the venue, a familiar figure peeked out from the shadows, like a rat watching us from afar, spying on our happiness. But this time, I didn't look back.